from TIG Studios Birmingham. This is T-Bone's Afternoon Tea.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. This is T-Bone logging in with the first episode of T-Bone's Afternoon Tea. This title replaces the vlog series and will be known as this from now on. I do have future plans for the show where I will be on camera, answering your questions, responding to your comments, as well as giving you my thoughts, ramblings and various pieces from my life. I think this approach will give a fresh perspective to the show and be a good format to respond to the viewers and subscribers out there. You might notice I made the distinction between viewers and subscribers. Why did you do that, T-Bone? Good question, glad you asked. If you look through the back catalogue of videos that I've produced, some of them have received over 100 views while others are nudging 500. Small beer in today's YouTube arena, but still big views for a channel that has 39 subscribers. Add to that the fact that over 2,500 of you have watched my channel, which has resulted in this channel being readily searchable on YouTube now, which I thank you for. It's not to the point where it displays as a suggestion, but give it time, it will happen. Now I know that not all of you will watch my content and will like or enjoy what I produce, which is fair enough. To those people, I would ask you to give constructive feedback. When I say constructive, your channel sucks doesn't count, whereas reasons why does. As long as those reasons why aren't because it's rubbish or along similar lines, then I will take your comments on board. I guess my point is twofold. What it demonstrates is how hard it is in a YouTube gaming space occupied by a plethora of channels all vying for your attention to get the necessary traction and views to make it a success. True, I've not helped the situation by not making video content for a very long time. This is a situation that I will rectify as I step up production of videos in the future. Secondly, at this point the number of views I have received on some of my videos you would think would lead to larger subscriber numbers. However, this isn't the case. I don't mind if you watch the video and don't subscribe, however, if you do, it helps the channel out immensely and keeps you informed when the next video will be out. I'm pleased that I do have some new subscriptions, which is awesome. I hope you will enjoy the content I produce and spread the word about the channel. So, what's been happening lately? Well, there has been one major change in equipment. My mixing desk has been upgraded from this to this. A Behringer QX2442 USB. There are two reasons for this. The first is I needed a desk with more inputs for my setup. The second is this is the only model in the range of small desks that has a main insert. Why is that important? Well, it will allow me at a future date to add a compressor to work on the entire mix. This should reduce the time needed to edit any audio and mean that any future livestream that I do has a level of compression to make it sound more like a radio broadcast from a sound point of view. I still need to invest in a second vocal processor and more sound deadening material before being freed up to use a lavalier microphone on camera. The last items needed will be some monitor risers, a teleprompter for a DSLR camera and some more lighting. Even though the studio looks like daylight, I still need to light the green screen better. Equipment wise, I'm pretty much there, but as per usual, other expenses have to be taken into account. Still, piece by piece, I'm slowly getting everything together that I believe I need to produce the content to the level that I wish to produce the content at. I hope by now that you've worked out that I don't do things by halves. I am determined to continue this trend and continuously improve content. Speaking of content, you may ask why there's been a lack of videos lately. Well, I've spent an inordinate amount of time playing World of Tanks, practicing and doing my best to improve my gameplay. However, this is to the detriment to the channel in some respects, but it does mean that I have some replays to share with you. I'm still thinking of a name for a replay show. If you do have any sensible suggestions, please let me know. My email is mailbox@thboneisgaming.co.uk. The tank review, the T1 Cunningham, was an enjoyable video to do, but a painstaking one as well. Why? Well, take a look at this. This is Sony Vegas, which I used to edit all my videos. Now you can see there are multiple tracks of video and audio. The most painstaking part of this video to do was the typewriter sequence, which I thought would be simple, and in theory, it is. Unfortunately, I had to time every click of a typewriter key to each letter that appeared on screen. This was a painstaking process, but definitely worth it in the end. There will be more tank reviews on the way too. World of Tanks is something that I will feature on the channel, but that doesn't mean I've abandoned other games. I'd like to present some MOBAs, Hearthstone and plan a flight sim tutorial. I promise I'll finish the farm sim tutorial sooner rather than later. So, what about live streaming? This is something I would like to do again on a regular basis in the future. I suppose what I'm questioning is whether I should edit highlights. The main reason is I have a lot to do with the content I'm planning to produce on top of a full-time job and other commitments in my life. So, who knows, I may be behind the wheel of a truck amongst other things. That just about catches you up with the channel. So what about things in my personal life? Well, work have extended my contract on days full-time in another position, albeit on trial for a month. It does mean a drop in pay, which I'm not too happy about, but it's better than the alternative of working part-time. Relationship-wise, I'm still single and trying to work through things with my ex-girlfriend. There is still a very good friendship there, but dealing with the emotions that come from changing from a relationship to a friendship is a challenge. Speaking of challenge, long-term subscribers of this channel either know or have guessed by now that I am a man who has faith. Don't worry, I'm not going to deliver a sermon. Although with the rocky road I've experienced, if God was in front of me right now, I'd be asking him, what the hell is going on? I suppose that's one thing about having faith. You have to trust that things work out in the end, even when you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's tough at the time, but when you get through it, you're stronger and wiser than before. As for music, I still play on the odd occasion. In fact, recently I've done a couple of gigs with a big band which went really well. Not only that, there is a tour planned with a big band to the Netherlands and Germany, which should be good fun. And as for my car, just when you thought it was running smoothly and nothing else could go wrong, it does. Fortunately, it's nothing major, but for sheer comedy value, it's absolute gold. I went to set out for work the other week, turned on the radio and watched my aerial rise up out of the wing as it usually does. The only thing is, the aerial committed suicide on me. It went higher than it ever did, came out of the wing mount, flopping down by the side of the wing. I stopped the car and tried to push it back in, but the gearing cable that's inside the aerial snapped. So that's another fix to do. The strange thing is, I can still listen to Radio 4 without any problems with reception at all. The joys of driving an old Rover. Speaking of which, a moment of history passed recently that I couldn't believe or ignore. The Rover car factory closed 10 years ago. While I didn't work there, most of my family did. My father worked there for 38 years, both uncles and both grandfathers. In fact, my grandfather's signature is on a historic Austin at the Heritage Motor Museum in Gaydon. If you have never been there, it's a fabulous place to go and I highly recommend it. During my time at university, I played in one of the Rover bands and ended up conducting one of them. Yes, I know, I was the one waving a stick around, but there's more to it than you think. When the protest march happened as BMW sold Rover, I was in the band marching along with the workers. One way or another, it's a big part and influence on my life. It's partly the reason why I have a love of British marks of car and why I love driving the car that I have. Despite its faults and foibles, the driving experience is relaxed, comfortable with the purr of a V6 engine, which is great. So while I mourn Rover's demise, I look forward to the future cars from the likes of MG, Land Rover and Jaguar. Okay, they're not British owned, but they still have Made in Britain written through them like a stick of rock. That's enough about cars. What's next? Ah yes, I had a viewer comment recently. Woohoo, I hear you cry. Eric Yonkov spotted I missed Lethal on a Hearthstone video instructing me on how I should play the cards. Well, having reviewed the evidence, he is absolutely right, and I thank you for that. Perhaps when I finally get back to playing Hearthstone again, I will not suck as badly, but no promises. This is me, remember? There were a couple of comments waiting for approval which I've added and commented on. I do read all your comments, and as long as they're constructive and not offensive, I will post them up and reply. And what about viewer questions? Well, none as yet, so I thought I would go back to the beginning and answer a question that you may ask. Tbone, why did you decide to become a YouTuber? Well, this goes back about 18 months ago now. I was watching other YouTubers, and at the time I was getting into Squirrel's content amongst other things. I'd watch his live streams, and one night I thought, I could do that. So I started to live stream on Twitch initially, building up a little following before launching my YouTube channel a few months later. In the early days, I found it difficult initially to speak, as there is an art to talking to yourself live in front of an audience with a time delay. I did get used to it though, and I've never looked back. Have I learned anything from it? As a certain Prime Ministerial candidate would say, hell yes. For a start, don't go into YouTubing if you think you're going to make a ton of cash quickly. So, why go into YouTube? Well, there is something about creating content that is enjoyable. In particular, the script writing and the audio side is what I really enjoy. There are times the video editing can be painstaking, but it is definitely worth the effort. I don't mind how well or how badly a video does. What I care about is creating good content and uploading it to channel for everyone to watch and share. So, if you have a question that you would like to ask, send it to my email address. Who knows, you could feature on one of my shows. Well, that just about wraps everything up for this episode of Afternoon Tea. I'd like to thank you for watching. Until next time, take care and enjoy your gaming. This is Tbone logging off.